welcome to the Bullcast Podcast. I'm Katie Pickler, and with me is Cort Winsett.
Hello, Katie.
And Cameron Spann.
Just over here guessing people's weight and barking at the yak woman.
What?
My favorite quote from A Christmas Vacation. I'll play it a little later on.
Okay. So we kind of teased this in a previous episode where we went on a rampage talking about how much we love the movie Christmas Vacation. And yes, we are a financial podcast, but sometimes we got to have a little fun. Okay, I got to put a warning out there. We are talking about Christmas Vacation. There is some language because we are being authentic. We're saying the actual lines from the movie. So if little ears are around, I'm sorry.
It's spicy.
If you're driving your minivan around and your little kid's in the back seat, be careful.
Just turn it off. So this episode is dedicated towards what I would consider a very, very, very great Christmas movie, A Christmas Vacation, National Lampoon's. Y'all excited?
Oh, yeah.
This is actually a recent favorite for me. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, because didn't you say Abby had never seen this until last year?
Yeah, so my first time seeing it is pretty recently. Like, what was that, 2 or 3 years ago? We rented out the theater and our staff watched.
That was your first time?
First time.
Oh, my.
But listen, it's not like that was my first experience with family vacation. When I was young, I'd seen European Vacation. I'd seen Vegas Vacation.
Have you ever seen National Lampoon's Vacation?
I've seen the original,
Okay.
yes. So that was the last one to check off, and I've been obsessed ever since.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching this movie as a favorite Christmas movie my whole life.
Me too.
I mean, not necessarily my whole life, but for quite a good chunk of my life.
Oh, yeah, me too. So it
came out in 89, so I guess I was like 16 when it came out.
We were
one.
one.
That makes you feel old, doesn't it?
There's nothing about my existence here that makes me feel young.
So it's Christmas time, and the Griswolds are preparing for a family seasonal celebration, but things never run smoothly for Clark, his wife Ellen, and their 2 kids. Clark's continual bad luck is worsened by his obnoxious family guest, but he manages to keep going, knowing that his Christmas bonus is due soon. Dum, dum, dum.
This is one of those movies that is just chock full of stressful situations.
Yeah.
I mean,
and as a matter of fact, it lends itself pretty well to a list of financial mistakes that Clark made. So we are going to tie in some
does go into that.
Financial elements here in this podcast, but we're not going to start with the financial stuff. Save the good part to the end.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, we can pepper it throughout this whole thing. Before this episode, I was looking up quotes because I actually went to a Christmas party last weekend and they had a cardboard stand-up of Clark, and I, of course, had to take a selfie with Clark, but I was trying to find a quote to put with my post, and yeah, there's just so many.
I was talking with Nicole this morning about this outline. She helps us put these together, and she said maybe a couple weeks ago she went to a pop-up Christmas vacation bar in Nashville.
Oh,
and she showed me some
wow.
pictures. It looked awesome. But they had a $50 drink.
Oh, gosh.
No.
It was in a squirrel, porcelain cup.
Oh, yeah.
But we do have a
Moose
list.
mugs.
We
have
have
so many lists.
We have it's a list show.
But this is the official list?
This is the list.
Festive facts about Christmas Vacation. So, okay, one of 2 Christmas movies released in 1989. The other was Prancer, and that has Johnny Galecki was Rusty, starred in both. Which Johnny Galecki, that's Big Bang.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. He grew up to play Leonard.
Which blew my mind when I finally realized it, because I'm like you, Cort. I've been watching this my whole life. I mean, I don't know that I was watching it at 2 or 3, but I feel like my whole life I've been watching it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those I never realized that Rusty was Leonard.
Yeah.
Like, what?
just does not look the same to me, but
no.
whatever.
Second interesting fact, the movie had a huge budget, particularly for a comedy. A $27 million budget to be exact, but it had no trouble making its budget back. The film's final domestic gross was more than $70 million.
The budget probably had to be so big because they kept destroying so much stuff, and if you screwed up the take, you gotta destroy something else.
Giant cast. I mean, a huge number of actors.
Lots of different scenery. It wasn't just at the house.
Yeah, so I could see it being expensive.
But on the flip side, you hear about Home Alone. The first one had a micro budget. I mean, tiny.
Okay, number 3, Cousin Eddie is based on a real guy. Quaid borrowed many of Cousin Eddie's mannerisms from a guy he knew growing up in Texas, most notably his tendency toward tongue clicking. What is tongue clicking? Is that? Oh, it is.
Everybody's going to turn this off.
Can I play a clip real quick?
Let's do it.
It's the quote I did at the very beginning.
Okay.
And this is when Cousin Eddie and Clark are catching up once Cousin Eddie is officially staying at their house.
Yeah, I got the daughter in the clinic getting cured off the wild turkey. And the older boy, bless his soul, is preparing for his career.
College?
Carnival.
You gotta be proud.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, last season he was a pixie dust spreader on a tilt-a-whirl. And he thinks that maybe next year he'll be guessing people's weight or barking for the yak woman.
Guessing people's weight or barking for the yak woman.
Oh gosh, I mean there's just so many great lines from this movie. I guess we should have said at the beginning, spoiler if you've never seen this, but is this movie really a spoiler at this point?
No, I think you can jump in
so
wherever
much.
and get a good laugh in.
Okay, next fun little fact. Eddie's son Rocky doesn't speak in the film.
Oh yeah, that little redneck kid.
He doesn't speak in the film, but neither does the little girl. Because that was a whole big deal, is that she doesn't talk.
Doesn't she end up saying something? She does end up talking at some point.
But I guess
Rocky, never talks.
But what I'm saying is, he never talks, but that's not the focus. The focus was that she wasn't talking anymore. And then I think it was a big deal when she does talk. It's kind of like Jay and Silent Bob when Silent Bob finally says something.
Yeah, because at the end, she wants presents, and she's in the kitchen, and Clark is there. Isn't he dreaming of the pool and the girl out front, and she interrupts him? Yeah, and she's like, we can't afford presents. And he's like, does he tell her Santa's real? Do you remember?
I don't.
I think he does. I think he talks to her about Santa and explains to her how she should believe in it. And because I think she says, Uncle Clark or whatever, it's not real. And
that's right.
Yeah, and he debunks her very wrong theory.
Interesting fact, Aunt Bethany is Betty Boop. Did you guys know this?
I did not know it, but I'm thrilled.
Christmas Vacation marked the final film of Mae Questel, who began her career as the voice of Betty Boop in 1931.
This just makes me love her so much more, because I was a huge Betty Boop fan when I was younger. And Aunt Bethany, of course, Cam, you must have had no idea what the hell I was wearing the first time you saw this movie was when we ran out the theater, because I had the old lady shirt on and I had the pillbox hat.
Katie, I never question your outfits. I'm never going to question it, even if I have no idea what it is mirroring,
Aunt Bethany's fabulous.
Cousin Catherine has a Looney Tune connection. So Cousin Catherine being Eddie's wife. Miriam Flynn, who played Eddie's adoring wife in 4 Vacation pictures, voiced Taz's mother on the animated Warner Brothers series Tasmania. She's also lent her vocal talents to the Land Before Time franchise and voiced Ma, the elderly sheep in Babe.
That's so awesome.
That's so fun that we've got 2 people now that have been voices on shows, which tells you they really going with the budget. They were really getting the comedic people to be a part of this.
And the opening title sequence of the movie is animated with Santa, so it all makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, an earthquake struck while filming the movie. At the same time the production filmed the arrival of Uncle Lewis and Aunt Bethany at the Griswold home, a minor earthquake struck. The camera shakes slightly as a result of it as Bethany walks to the front door. I'm going to have to go back and watch this now.
That, yeah.
What? Of course, when they're coming in with the cat, the Jell-O mold. Does your cat eat Jell-O?
Mr. Shirley, a.k.a. Clark's boss, is Bill Murray's brother. I didn't know that.
Now I'm picturing him. I can see that. Give me anyone. Put a phone call.
Chevy Chase suffered a hand injury during filming, during that scene where he's basically going medieval on the Santa Claus because he can't get the lights to light up. He apparently broke his pinky finger while he was fighting the Santa. So,
that doesn't shock me that there was injuries, because he did some, when he was sledding and the Santa and so many things. To help Chase nail the expletive-filled tirade, his fellow actors wore cue cards. As Beverly explained, this particular scene was blocked in a way that would allow each of us to have around our necks a piece of rope that was attached to a big cue card. The rant was divided into sections so that he could go all the way through from the beginning to the end without a chance of forgetting his lines. If you watch it, you can see him. His eyes go from character to character as he's going on in the speech, because we've got the lines there.
And the final fun fact about that movie. The movie begins with an animated Santa sequence, which we just talked about. After the search for the perfect Christmas tree and putting up the Christmas light scenes, the movie starts being told in the style of an Advent calendar, starting with December 14 through December 24. And I do love that about the movie.
That's cool.
It always cuts to the little Advent calendar and the little door opening.
Yeah.
That's very fun. From a film perspective, they did a really cool job of showing the story and then adding in different things like that. Okay, the top 15 funniest scenes.
This could be fodder for some fights.
Yeah.
If my favorite scenes don't make it.
Why don't you start, Cort?
Okay, the first scene listed is the search for the perfect Christmas tree. Amidst the collective chorus of their off-pitch festive songs, Clark doesn't seem to realize when he's about to run into a logging truck. And by the last whisker on Santa's beard, manages to slide right under it, freeing the car from under the logging truck, entails almost running into a snowplow before soaring off the highway and into the snow-soaked wilderness.
It is the perfect way to start that movie off.
He's just so calm, and then he's just like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do?
And the station wagon ramps off the snow and lands in the Christmas tree
And then he's
field.
like, I'm here. And then the daughter freezes to death pretty much. Like, she can't feel anything above her waist. And Okay, Cousin Eddie's arrival. Clark has tried to plan the perfect Christmas. One of the worst things that could ever happen to him is Cousin Eddie parking his RV in front of his house, which are blocking his beautiful light display, which follows by highly amusing scenes where Eddie introduces various family members based off of their physical ailments.
So, of course, it's difficult to paint a picture, but this is one of my favorite scenes because they're all standing out in front of the house with the lights all gloriously lit up, and everybody's saying, "Clark, it's so beautiful." And then he turns and looks, and Cousin Eddie's standing there, and he goes, "Eddie? Eddie?"
Yep.
Yeah, Eddie compliments him, and he's like, thank you. And he keeps staring. He's like, hang on, Eddie?
Who's here? Eddie? And that was not a very attractive RV. It was pretty gross looking.
It was gross.
Third funniest scene, kiss my ass, kiss his ass. Clark is mocking the way corporate America often puts up a front of sincerity, but doesn't really care about the little guy, a theme which will return in a much bigger way at the end of the film.
I don't remember this scene.
What?
It's when all the...
when the executives are all coming out and Clark and his buddy are standing there talking about the holidays and their bonuses, and they're like all like, it's the marching in music, and then he's like saying happy holidays, shaking hands, and then he's like, kiss my ass, kiss his ass, kiss her ass, and like goes through, and it's obviously from a financial perspective, don't say that to your senior authority in your business. That's probably not going to end well.
You will respect my
But
authority.
it is kind of a nod towards the hierarchy and how some people feel like they're little peons and stuff like that.
Pussycat succotash. When the cat is released from its confinement, it naturally plays with the baubles on the tree, eats a few needles, and presumes to infiltrate the branches like it's on a covert mission to mess with the tree big time. When Clark goes to plug the tree in, having way too many lights attached to a single outlet, he overloads it, and not only does the tree not light up, the cat explodes. I always kind of assumed that the cat was chewing on the electric cord, and that's...
I thought so too,
Yeah.
that the cat did it. And it's, because it even starts with the cat where Aunt Bethany's bringing the presents in and he's like, shakes it and it's like, "Rawr!" And you're like, and the cat's eating the Jell-O mold, and it's just, and then when the tree catches on fire and Uncle Lewis is just still sitting there. Okay. Clark reliving the Christmas past. He starts to watch home movies, entranced by the festive scenes of Christmas memories he tries to recreate. When his wife comes upstairs holding a present, she reaches up, pulls on the string, forcing him to come tumbling down. Okay, I gotta back up. No, this is... Because I was talking to somebody about life lessons that Christmas Vacation can teach you. And one of them is going to be always have a coat and a hat in your attic.
Yep.
Because this is what happens is he gets up there, he's doing something, the family sees that the attic, the mother-in-law, I think, is the one who sees that the attic is down. So she closes it, shivering, all that stuff like that. Then he has to find a fur and a little hat and has a nice little setup, but yeah, it backfires.
He watches old family films up there.
He's in his fields and all of a sudden he just falls down because she opens it. So.
All right, the sledding snafu, which we briefly talked about in last week's episode. Eddie mentions that he can't go down the hill because of the government plate in his head. But Clark's up to the challenge and greases his sled to ensure it's the fastest one down the hill. And man, does he fly. There are sparks everywhere.
Yeah.
The government plate in his head.
Oh, carving the turkey.
Oh,
now, this
man.
one is pretty self-explanatory. If you've seen the movie, Clark goes to carve the turkey and it basically explodes because it's so dry.
It's so dry, it withers.
Just a sickening hissing noise and like an egg from Alien with barely any meat inside, dry as a bone. And so it's beautiful on the exterior. And then the next scene is everybody's like,
Yeah, I've never seen a turkey so beautiful on the outside,
but just trash on the inside. But they still try and eat it, and then you got the dog under the table that is eating and like shakes the whole table when he burps. Like, what is happening? Okay, Clark's pool fantasy. We kind of talked about that a minute ago. You know, Clark tries to get a little peace in the kitchen. He opens the curtains. And what to his wondering eyes should appear but a beautiful woman to provide him with cheer. Clark's fantasy is interrupted by his niece, who innocently wanders into the room with her bear, thinking Clark is Santa Claus. So that's that story. But yeah, that the blonde appears in all of Clark's movies. Like, that's the fantasy woman. Oh, and I don't think this is in here, but someone recently, it's actually a client of ours, showed me a picture of Mary. So Mary is the counter girl who Clark kind of fumbles on his words.
The lingerie
lady. And she's like, oh, yes, God rest my wife's soul. Oh, she's not dead, but he's very much attracted to her. I saw a picture of her. She looks incredible. She looks the same, just like an older, like, you know, hair's white, all of that, but still gorgeous.
Wow. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that she's the person that ends up in his pool fantasy later on.
Yeah.
I think the lingerie girl makes the appearance later on.
Probably. Yep.
All right, this next scene is probably the quintessential scene when you think of this movie. It is the lighting of the house. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, just as everyone gathers outside for the main event, they don't work when Clark tries to plug them in. He keeps checking and rechecking the connection to no avail until finally, the sagacity of Ellen saves the day, allowing Clark a single moment of Christmas heroics. The house blazes to life and causes a few grids to lose power in the process, and then, of course, Cousin Eddie shows up. That's right, she's in the garage or the laundry room, and she's flipping the power breaker.
Flips the switch, and then the dad's all like, well, did you check all the bulbs, son?
My favorite part about that entire scene is Todd and Margot, the next door neighbors.
Get blinded.
They keep getting
like,
blinded.
Oh! Spilling wine everywhere.
And that is Clark's second attempt to turn the lights on, because the first time he calls everyone out and he cannot get it to work. Mm-hmm. And his parents are upset, or his in-laws. Which one?
It's his dad that's like, you got to check every bulb. He's like, I did, Dad, I did. And Rusty's all like, it's okay, it's okay.
Attack of the Killer Squirrel. An unexpected guest decides to crash Christmas. The entire family is in on the squirrel hunt. First, the Griswolds try to corner it. Then the Rottweilers chase it all over the house, causing mayhem and destruction everywhere they go. Tables, chairs, bookshelves, and china cabinets all are collateral damage in pursuit of the furry fiend. This is, of course, Clark goes out and saws down a tree outside because his first tree burned up.
Yep.
And that tree
along
comes
with Uncle
complete
Lewis.
with a squirrel.
Yep.
And the Rottweiler belongs to Cousin Eddie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is a chase scene for sure, but I'm pretty sure at one point, like, they're all chasing after it, and then they're being chased by the squirrel at another point. And yeah, it is madness. It is amazing. And again, yes, we're talking about one movie, y'all. If you've never seen this, all of it in one. Okay, Todd and Margot.
You get the good one.
The icicle fiasco. So after Clark makes the finishing touches on his Christmas light display, he causes an icicle to shoot out of the gutter and into their house, piercing their stereo, showering the carpet with frozen debris. Why is the carpet all wet, Todd?
I don't know, Margot.
Oh, this has been plastered on so many people's shirts.
Yeah, I've seen ugly
stickers.
Christmas sweaters.
But it's, I mean, I don't know if y'all are this way, but, and I mean, Cam, you may not be this level yet, but it's like anytime somebody spills something, it's like,
oh,
why is the floor all wet?
I say that all the time.
Oh, gosh.
Cousin Eddie and Clark go Christmas shopping. When Cousin Eddie arrives at Clark's doorstep, he doesn't have any money to give his children a Merry Christmas. So Clark takes it upon himself to get gifts for Ruby Sue and Rocky. Their exchange as they putter around the store is another delightful interplay between the two men, each one completely missing the points the other one is trying to make. Doesn't Cousin Eddie put like multiple bags of dog food in the cart?
3 or 4 huge bags.
Really taking advantage of Clark.
Quaid also was in Armageddon. And I feel like his character in Armageddon, and like, I feel like that would make sense that that's Cousin Eddie, that now was kidnapped by the aliens and is going up and he's going to, yeah.
I'm pretty sure Randy Quaid has become Cousin Eddie in real life.
I think he has.
It's crazy.
Yes. I mean, he played it enough.
Okay.
Oh, the
best.
So the next one is the quintessential line from the movie. The shitter was full.
Oh, yes, because the RV.
The silent majesty of Clark's winter morn is demolished by a uniquely disturbing sight outside his window. Christmas Day has finally come, and Cousin Eddie is outside. I think this is supposed to say the asshole in the bathrobe, emptying the chemical toilet from his mobile home into Clark's sewer.
He's wearing this bathrobe because I've seen several people do this costume, and I think Daniel's done it before, but it's like a bathrobe. He's got a hat on. He's got a beer in his hand. The bathrobe is not tightly done. You can see that he's wearing boxers underneath it, and he's just like got his like got the pipe, like it's just, I can picture it. He doesn't know that he's doing anything wrong, and he just waves at Clark like, "What's up?"
I'm pretty sure the sewage was radioactive too. I think it was like green in the movie,
green.
like glowing.
Oh yeah,
it was bad. Okay, Clark's rant, the rant that when Santa Claus squeezes his fat white ass down the chimney, he's going to find the jolliest bunch of assholes this side of the North Pole. Only Chevy Chase can deliver each ridiculous line with as much crazy-eyed glee as he does in this scene. That is, until his last rant. This kind of compares with the rant of Steve Martin in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with the checker.
Considerably fewer F-bombs are dropped, but yeah.
But still...
And wrapping up this list of the funniest scenes, Clark's other rant about Mr. Shirley. What was the impetus Eddie needed to spring into action? A wonderful maniacal rant by Clark, as only Chevy Chase can do, in which he explains exactly what he'd say to Mr. Shirley if he could see him standing in his living room. The expletives strung together are more beautiful than a line of twinkle lights.
Yeah, because Cousin Eddie goes and kidnaps his boss, has him wrapped in a bow in his like silk pajamas, and... that, I mean, because then you've got all the drama of your in-laws are there. You've had the fire from the tree. The cat has been exploded. The shitter has been full. You've had the dry turkey.
The sled.
Holy shit.
You've got, the squirrel
Pass
attacked
the eggnog.
everything. And now Cousin Eddie shows up with your boss because you thought you were getting your boat. And the thing is, here's an advice, y'all. Financial. Clark is opening up his check. That's what he thinks he's getting, his bonus check. And he's like, oh, it's here, it's here. Okay, everybody, I'm going to tell you, we're putting a pool in. Doesn't even open it yet. Has already put a down payment for this pool. Here's my pointer. Don't publicly open stuff. Have acceptance letters, bonus checks, things like that. Don't tell people until it's a sure thing. And then you can make a public announcement of, hey, everybody. But instead, what did he get?
Jelly of the Month Club.
Jelly of the Month Club.
Yeah, that's number 2 on my list of financial lessons you can learn from Christmas Vacation is don't spend your bonus before the check clears.
Yeah, that is, Clark did not do the correct thing. And we've talked about this on some other episodes. You can't be guaranteed bonuses. And so wait until it actually shows up.
That's a great segue, Cort. Do you want to pepper in some financial advice?
Financial advice. Some of these are kind of a stretch. This was, of course, not my list. This was the top 10 financial lessons from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, as done by a man by the name of Andrew Matheson. But he's got some good ones in here. Poor planning is poor performance. They get all the way out to where they're going to get their Christmas tree. And when they get out there and they've picked the perfect tree, you remember how the lights are shining down on it. It looks so beautiful. Clark doesn't have a saw.
Plan out the details. Don't just think about the journey. Think about how you're going to get back.
Don't they pull it out by the roots or something it's attached to their car?
It's so bad. And it's so big on their car. And, what other lessons you got? I would think a lesson would be, for your sanity's sake, it's probably worth the investment to not have your family all staying at your house.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
I don't know what his title to this particular lesson is, but because it got cut off on my printout. But it says, we now cut to Clark putting lights on the house at the top of the ladder while his neighbors wish injury on him. Has anyone ever explained and drawn out for you what would actually happen if you were hurt or sick and unable to work? You might have something through work, but how much? Would it be enough of an income stream for your family to keep bills paid and continue saving for your family's future? So obviously this is about disability and injury, Be careful with your body. You only have the one. And I guess this might be a call for Aflac.
Well, I think it's just, don't be stupid. Like, think about, is this a smart idea? Maybe I should not do this. And maybe it's one of those... I think that kind of financially ties into this might be a job for professionals who have the gear that they can handle this. And yeah, it may cost you a little bit more, but you save a couple bucks not hiring them, but then you possibly die or get very, very injured and you can't work anymore. Or do you spend the money and let the professionals do it?
Okay, and back to the icicle scene.
Uh-huh.
Why is the carpet wet, Todd?
I don't know, Margot.
Okay, so in this scene, Clark falls off the roof only to have his gutter shoot an ice spike across his yard, flies into the neighbors, Todd and Margot's house, causing damage to their window, and more importantly, their very expensive-looking stereo, which led to the million-dollar question, why is the carpet all wet, Todd? So basically, this is all about making sure that you have insurance coverage.
Let's say, would Clark be liable? Could they prove that it was Clark?
Well, I doubt very seriously. I mean, all of the evidence melted.
Yeah, it was gone. It disappeared.
Yeah, I seem to recall, and I could be confusing this scene with another scene, but I seem to recall that they were not there when the ice.
That's right.
They were out running in their like space cadet outfits.
I was about to say, can we talk about their outfits? It's like aluminum foil running tracksuits.
Because they were so like, I mean, you've got Clark, and they're just like America's little family, but like then it turns into misfits and just kind of borderline gaudy, because I think now a terminology is I'm going Griswold this Christmas, which means you're doing very like bright lights, craziness. And then you've got the next door neighbors, and they're very modern, and their house is very sterile almost looking. And then they're all like so cool, and it's when they come out and he's got that black pea coat on. It's like, where are you going to put that, Clark? Bend over and I'll show you. Say what? I wasn't talking to you. Oh, okay.
Next lesson would be basically keep calm and carry on, although that's not exactly how he wrote it. The idea here is that Clark's meltdown, and one of many that he has in this movie, but the meltdown when he has the meltdown about the lights is certainly exemplary of what not to do. Example, when you have an issue, when you have a problem, seek help and guidance from those who might be able to help you. Don't have a fit and break your pinky on the Santa Claus.
In Clark's defense, with as much as goes wrong in this movie, I would have way more meltdowns than he did.
Yeah, he does stay pretty calm.
He tries to keep that smile on.
Well, and I think a lot of his stress is because he had set such high expectations and perfection that he wanted to keep traditions. He wanted to do certain things a certain way, and it just all unfolds. And so you got to kind of have to go with the flow, which I'm a hypocrite for saying that, because I'm the one that's all like, it has to be perfect, traditional. I don't care. Like, no, you can't sit there. That's not your spot.
What is this about?
Nothing.
Don't insult this one seems pretty self-explanatory. Don't insult your in-laws over their financial decisions. Clark's in-laws make fun of him for spending all the money that he does on all of his lights. And that's just rude, so don't do it.
But also maybe Clark shouldn't have spent all the money on the lights and not known that he was not going to get his bonus and then put a down payment on a pool. So,
Here's one that should be a favorite of ours.
Okay.
Have a well-funded emergency fund in case any emergencies or surprises come up.
Yep.
Clark finds out that his cousin Eddie has surprised them for a visit. This might have only set back Clark emotionally, but the lesson here is that unexpected events happen. Are you prepared for a financial one?
So on that, this said that we thought it was the cat that was the reason of chewing on the lights, and that's what happened to the tree. But it was an electrical thing. So, didn't they get a new tree and plug it in? So how did the outlet get fixed?
Well, I mean, I guess the outlet wasn't messed up. Again, it goes back to, I think the cat was chewing on that cable, and that's why he got zapped.
But then it's like you see like char.
Yeah.
So I'm just like wondering, like, did you really feel like it was a good idea? You just had an electrical fire of some sort. Your tree just blew up, and now you're going to put another tree and light it?
The man was at the end of his rope. I mean, he didn't care
He
anymore.
didn't care. Burn it down.
I mean, you remember what he did with the newel post of his stairs? It was wobbly, so he just sawed it off.
He had a chainsaw, just took it off. He didn't care anymore.
Rampage, yep. We haven't even talked about the moose mugs.
I have one of those.
I do too. I
think we
got
all
the
do.
punch bowl too.
Used to. My child broke it.
Oh,
man.
no.
I think I've got an extra.
You better give that to me.
Maybe we need a picture of us holding moose mugs and our bull cast sweaters.
Okay.
That would require me to be in a picture. I mean, what are y'all doing to me?
And a Santa hat. The more you complain, the more I'm going to add stuff to this.
The holiday season is a time for giving. let us not forget that Clark, despite how he feels about Cousin Eddie, when Cousin Eddie says that they don't have the money to buy their kids presents, Clark very generously offers to go out and get the kids some presents. So all of this insanity is ensuing. Everything that's going on around Clark, the whole movie, throughout the movie, he's still, the character, Clark Griswold, still remains a person with a kind heart and with a giving spirit. And of course, no better time to have a giving spirit than right around Christmas.
Yeah. They allow all the in-laws to show up, and he's got a good heart. We love Clark. You got any other financial nuggets?
Don't feel the pressure to keep up with the Joneses when it comes to vehicles or recreational vehicles. Clark and Eddie admiring Eddie's beat-up RV through the living room window, and Clark says, "It looks so nice, parked in the driveway."
Yes, he's thinking, I have just put all these lights up. I want people to drive by my house, and then you put that there. Which, as someone who likes to do my yard really fun for Halloween and Christmas, I do get really mad if someone comes and just parks right in the front of my, I'm like, hello, that messes up the whole look. I don't need your car messing up my look.
Cannot tell you how many times I've parked in front of your house when you had light displays and so forth going on up there. I just don't know what to tell you.
The truth comes out.
And then
I have a driveway.
Christmas isn't about spending top dollar on gifts. It's ultimately about faith and family. Now, I feel like the guy that wrote this is stretching a little bit here, because he says, after nearly being arrested for kidnapping, Clark finally discovers the true meaning of the Christmas season. Life is not about money. Money is a resource that allows us to live, enjoy life, help others, and provide for our families. Try to remember this holiday season what it's all really about. Now, that sentiment I'm not really making fun of. That sentiment is obviously, that's a good sentiment to have and a good sort of ideal to carry through this season. But the idea that that's what Clark takes away at the end, the boss decides to go ahead and give him the bonus. He's happy that he got the bonus. It's all about the money and getting the pool done. So I don't know that Clark really learned anything, but then again, I don't know that throughout 4 Griswold movies, Clark ever learned anything in any of them.
No. Do you think that needs to be added to a list is you need to have a backup for your meal? Because think about this movie and A Christmas Story with the turkeys. Mm-hmm. One turkey explodes, the other one gets taken
Eaten
off by the dogs.
Not only that, but you can add in there the Santa Claus.
Yeah. He burns it.
Scott Calvin's character burns the turkey at the very beginning of the movie, and they end up having to go to a Danvers where it's all just a bunch of kids with their single dads.
Yes. Yep. And then in A Christmas Story, they have to go to the Chinese restaurant
with the duck.
With the duck, yep. Which apparently that scene was, they didn't tell her they were going to do that. And so her reaction was real when they cut the head off.
Phenomenal.
And when we were in New York, I took a picture because we were walking by one of the windows and there was a duck hanging in the window. And it made me instantly think of that movie. But you think people should have a backup meal?
No. It's too stressful.
Just punt.
Yeah, punt.
Listen, if disaster strikes and you end up being without a turkey, then just
eat the sides.
Yeah. First of all, if you still have the sides, you can absolutely fill up on some sides. So there's that. If you live near casinos, almost all casinos that I'm aware of are open on Christmas Day. So you can always go to the casinos if you want to get a meal.
When I was in high school, my family had this really trashy tradition that lasted only about 3 years, where we would go to the casino in Philadelphia, Mississippi, and eat. And then, it was wonderful. I miss that.
Gosh.
Yeah, you want to wrap up the show with our favorite quotes?
Yeah, round robin through these quotes.
Although I call number 2.
Oh, God, I was going to do that one. You can do it. Okay, go, Cort.
You surprised? If I woke up tomorrow with my head sewn to the carpet, I wouldn't be more surprised.
That's when Cousin Eddie shows up, right?
Yep.
We're going to press on, and we're going to have the happiest Christmas since Ben Crosby tap dance with Danny Kaye.
And this is Clark again talking to Cousin Eddie in that scene I played earlier. You ready for this? Can I refill your eggnog for you and get you something to eat, drive you out to the middle of nowhere, and leave you for dead?
Oh, goodness. Here's that one that you were talking about earlier. Hey, Griswold, where do you think you're going to put a tree that big? Clark says, bend over, I'll show you. Clark, Audrey's frozen from the waist down. She'll see it later, honey. Her eyes are frozen shut.
I feel like this one could be said a lot. And, Cort, I just feel like you would say this. Actually, I think all of us would say this. Hallelujah, holy shit, where's the Tylenol?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and he's just yakking on a bone. That's the scene with the dog underneath the table when he's like shaking it and
I feel like we could talk about this movie for forever.
It's a great movie.
I feel like we have talked about this movie for forever.
I don't think there's a bullseye. I think there's a bunch of great Christmas movies out there. This is just, it's fun.
Ding dong, ding dong. That's the opening to some Christmas song. I don't know. I heard it the other day.
I thought that was a closing bell.
I thought it was
In this case, it is. Ladies and gentlemen, you've made it to the end of yet another episode of the Bullcast Podcast. If you like what you heard and you'd like to hear more, please feel free to go to your favorite subscription service and sign up to have our podcast beamed directly to your favorite listening device every single Thursday at noon. If you'd like to find out more about Cameron, Katie, or Cort, please feel free to go to our website. That's bullcastpodcast.com. We've got bios. We've got information there. You can leave us a comment, suggest a topic if you want to hear something, if you want to hear us talk about something specific. We also have pictures on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is @bullcastpodcast, and we have tweets on Twitter. Our handle there is @bullcastpodcast as well. Finally, although I can't swear that we mentioned it this episode, we have frequently mentioned that we work at a place called Pickler Wealth Advisors. And if you'd like to find out more about where we work, what we do, our amazing team, and our boss, David A. Pickler, please feel free to go to that website. That is picklerwealthadvisors.com.
That's advisors with an O.
Not an E.
Ladies and gentlemen, go find a DVD or a streamer as quickly as possible and watch Christmas Vacation. I know that's what I'm going to do. So for now, I'm Cort.
I'm Katie.
I'm Cam.
And we're done.